For decades, Congress has been given away one of its most important powers. And just recently, the courts are starting to push back on that release of power by Congress. And so, Congress's main job is to pass laws. And Congress, in recent history, has passed laws that are intentionally broad. They're not vague by accident, but they're vague on purpose. And there's an intention there. It's with phrases like in the public interest or reasonable regulation. And these sound flexible, but legally they hand a lot of decision making power over to the agencies. And that's Congress's intent. And so once Congress passes a law like that, agencies fill in the details. They decide how strict the rules are, who they apply to, how they're enforced, and these rules carry the force of law, even though Congress never voted on the specifics. And courts used to deal with this through what's called chevron defense. And it means if a statute was unclear and the agency's interpretation was reasonable, courts would defer to the agency's expertise. And that approach shaped modern government and allowed agencies like the EPA, OSHA, the FDA to operate with this broad authority. And it makes a little bit of sense because they would know the details and have the intelligence to inform that. But what's changing now is that the Supreme Court is pulling back from that assumption. And so the court is saying that ambiguity does not automatically mean agency power. And if Congress wants an agency to have that much authority to make those type of decisions, Congress needs to say it clearly in the statute that they write. And so that shift moves power in three directions at once. We see agencies losing flexibility. We see courts take on more responsibility in interpreting the law. And Congress is pushed back into writing policy details instead of delegating them out to agencies. And so the practical effect is not that regulation somehow disappears. It's that regulation becomes slower, more contested, and more politically exposed, and agencies face probably significantly more legal challenges because courts get more cases, Congress faces more pressure to legislate precisely, and now Congress has to do their job a little more intently. And so from a political science perspective, this is a recalibration of the administrative state. And so power that drifted toward agencies is now being pulled back to courts and pulled back to Congress. And that kind of shift always feels chaotic in real time, but structurally, it's the system enforcing its own boundaries. And so in a government that's built on separation